Okay, so kind of a weird video because this is not that complicated. So I hope that you did a few just for practice, regardless if you're going to use a calculator or not. All right, so for this one, first thing I would do, okay, on this one, so my suggestion to this, the first question would be to change to a decimal, right? So positive and negative and negative. So this one actually, and I told you in class that I don't really like two signs next to each other, so I just rather make one. So 1.5 plus 2.25. So that's what I would have done. So 3.25 minus 1.5 is 1.75, and then plus 2.25 equals 4. So much simpler than having to change this to what do you call it? Find it. Well, the LCM is easy to find, but it's a lot simpler. Okay. This one you can't because of the 9, right? 9 and 5 doesn't really change. The 9 doesn't change to a nice, what do you call it? To a nice terminating decimal. So this, and again, I'll just rewrite it on top. And because, and I'll change it to improper fraction. So we got 18 over 5 minus, what is that? 9, 13 over 9 plus 1.5, 1 over 5. And if you find a common denominator, you're going to get everything over 45. And you're going to get 18 times 9, 7, 162 minus 65 plus 9. So that's what you have, right? So you can write it like this. You can write it like this. Okay. It's up to you. So 162 minus 65 is going to be 97. And 97 plus 9 is going to be 106. So that's going to give you 106 over 45. Or we can do 2, which is 90, and that's 16 over 45. Again, just practice some of those skills that you used a while ago. When was the last time you added fractions? Again, likewise, negative 1 over 9 plus 8 and 3/5 minus 1/15. Let's find a common denominator here. 45. So I would put everything over 45. Now this is going to be times 5, so it's negative 5. So oops. Let me change this. So negative 1 over 9 plus 43 over 5 minus 1 over 15. I'm going to change that. The LCM is going to be 45. So it's going to be negative 5 plus 43 times 9, which is 27, 2, 36, 38, 387, minus, what is this, 15? Yeah, 15 times 3. Okay, and that's what we have. So this is going to be over 45. Negative 5 and 387 is 382 positive, and 382 minus 3 is 379. Okay, so this is going to be 45, 1, 4, 8, and 19 over 45. Okay. Negative 3.5 plus negative 4.9, we're moving left on the number line, right? We're decreasing in value, so if you're adding a negative, that means you walked left, so that's just 3.5 and 4.9, 14, that's 8.4, so these two becomes negative 8.4, and then plus a positive, which means now I'm going to go back, walking to the right, because I'm increasing in value, and that's going to just give us negative 7.6. Okay. Can we find common denominator? Yeah, so let's just write this out. So it's negative 1 over 12 minus, so I know there's a plus minus, so I'm, you know what, for this one I'm just going to leave it as the plus minus, and this is going to be negative 27 over 8 plus 4 over 3. And if I change everything, my LCM is going to 24, so this is the 1 over 12 is going to be 2 over 24. Plus, and 8 times 3, so 27 times 3 is 1, goes 2, 6, 81. negative 81, plus, and then 3 to become 24 is times 8, so I'm going to multiply times 8 on the top, so that's 32. So it's negative 2 plus negative 81 plus 32. So negative 2 plus negative 81, we're walking to the left, so that we get negative 83, right? And negative 83 plus 32, which means we're at negative 83, and we're going to go right. So we're actually going to subtract these two numbers. And we get 5, and we take the sign of the number that has the greater absolute value. So final answer, negative 51 over 24, which you can change to an improper fraction. We get negative 2 and 3 over 24, and negative 2, 1 over 8. Okay. These are just decimals, so these two are two negative numbers, so we just combine them. So it's going to be negative 1.90 plus 0.77, right? So if you're at negative 90 and you add 77, you're walking to the left, to the right, and you're going to get negative 1.13. Okay, nice and easy. 4, 5, and 9. Oof. Is the LCM 180, really? Yeah, I think it's 180. So be 4 times, hang on a second, 4, 5, and 9. Yeah, it's 180. So 180 divided by 4 is 45. So 45 times 3 is 135, negative 135, plus 180 divided by, it's going to be 36, and 36 times 1 is just 36, and then that's 20, so that's plus 40. Okay, so we're going to add negative 130, so we're going to get 180 at the bottom, negative 136 plus 135 plus 36 is negative 99, and negative 99 plus 40 is negative 59. God, I hope my math is not, okay, it's not incorrect. 0.3 plus negative 5.5 plus 5.2, so if you add these two first, you're going to get a negative number, right? Because we take, if it's positive and negative, you take the sign of the one that has the greater absolute value, which is negative 5.5, and you subtract the number. So 0.3 plus negative 5.5 is negative 5.2, and then 5 plus 5.2 gives you a nice 0. Okay, so we have a negative, right, plus a positive, so we're going to take the sign of the bigger number, with a bigger absolute value, which is 12.12, so we got to subtract these two numbers, so 12.12 minus 1.091, so let's add a 0 here as a placeholder. Let's do some borrowing. That's a 0, that's 12, 11, that's a 10, 9, 2, 0, 11.029, and to that we're going to again subtract 1.1, right? Or actually, let me keep it as it is, plus negative 1.1, which is the same thing. Right, so here we're going to take another 1.1. That's a 9, that's a 2. That becomes a 0. 10 minus 1 is 9, and we get 10.929. Right, so decimals, not a big deal. We have two negative decimals together, so we're combining them, right? So we have negative 3.24 and negative 1.55, so in this case we're adding those two and we get 4.79, negative 4.79. Then we're going to add a positive number, which means we have to find a difference. We're going to take the sign of the number with the greater absolute value, which is negative 4.79, so that's going to give me a negative. So let's do negative 4.79 minus, let me take that away, and then we're going to subtract 2.512, placeholder, 10 minus 2 is 8, 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 minus 5 is 2. And we get negative 2.278. Likewise here, it's a negative and a negative and a negative. So 3 negative numbers, right? So we're just going to add all their absolute values, their distances, right? And it's just going to go all combined distances of all these 3 left of 0 because it's just going to decrease in value. So in this case, all we got to do is add 3 numbers. So that's a 15, that's a 6, 7, and that's a 1. So 1.75, and obviously negative. Okay. Oh, yuck. All right, so it's 2 negatives and a positive, so we need to find the common denominator. So let's, wondering if, all right, so let's, I'm not a big fan of, well, if I change this, I'm going to get negative 1 over 46, so that's times 23, so this is what I'm going to get, plus negative 2, and this is 46, right? I'm writing an equivalent fraction of 12 over 23 in terms of 46, so that's times 2, so this is 24. And then this one I don't have to make any changes. So if you leave it like this, now if you add, think about what happens here. If you add the whole numbers, negative 1 and negative 2, you get negative 3. And then if you add 23 over 46 and 24 over 46, 23 over 46 plus 24 over 46, you end up getting 47 over 46, which is the same thing as 1 and 1 over 46, negative. Then what you end up happening is that you got to combine these two, the whole numbers, and you actually get negative 4, 1 over 46. If you're comfortable doing that, be my guest, right? And then to that, we're going to add 5 and 7 over 46. All right, so we're going to end up with 1, 6 over 46, or 1, 3 over 23 as our final answer. Again, you're comfortable doing that, you can. We can change this to an improper fraction. So what I would do is 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1. So this is 3 over 2. Right? This is going to be 46. 23 times 2 is 46, and 12, 58, negative 58 over 23. And this is going to be 46 times 5, which is 33, 237 over 46. Now I'm going to find the, the LCM, which is 46, 46, but negative. This is also 46. So the last one I don't have to touch. This one is times 23 at the bottom, so times 23 at the top, so 23 times 3 is going to be negative 69. This is times 2, so on the top it's going to get 116. All right, so now I don't have to worry about that boring, or if it becomes a fraction greater than 1, and then readjusting, adding my whole numbers. So 69, 116, well, first of all, it's going to be negative, right? We're adding 2 negative numbers, so all we got to do is add a number. So 116 and 69 is 15, 185, negative 185. Oops, I already have my negative sign. Plus 237 over 46. The answer is going to be positive because this has a greater absolute value, so it's going to be positive something over 46. So we're going to subtract the numbers, 237 and 185. That's a 2, that's a 2, and then 13 minus 5, 13 minus 8 is a 5, and that did some more, so 52 over 46. Okay, so, and we get 1, 6 over 46, and we get the same exact answer, which is 1, 3 over 23. So you get to pick which way you want to do it. Okay. I am starving. It is 4:42, and I haven't eaten breakfast or lunch, so forgive me. Find each sum. It's 2 negative numbers that we're adding over here. So, right, so if you think about a number line, you're going to walk negative 0.4. And then to that, you're going to add this distance here, 13.81. So you're going to walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13.81. So you're going to add to this to negative 0.4, you're going to go further left 13.81 units to the left. And that's what you're doing. So the answer is just negative. All right, so the answer is negative, and you got to combine these two. So you got 1381 and 0.4. It's going to give negative 14.21. These two, again, same thing. Negative number, right? We're adding two negatives. So it's 3.7 and then 15.91. Just be careful with your lining up your decimal. So here's my placeholder, 169, negative 19.61. At the bottom, again, two negative numbers. So again, the answer is going to be negative because you're just combining two. You go further left on the number line. So it's 2.6 and 7.8, which is going to give us 10.4, but negative. Same thing, all negatives. Oh, okay. Answer is negative. 9.9 and 4.3. It's going to be 12, carry 1, 10, 14.2, but negative. Find each sum. Oh, there we go. Find each difference. Okay, now, guys, for these, I don't have to change it to addition because it's just your old, just your subtraction problem. 11.2 minus 9.5. You have $11.20, and you bought something for $9.50. How much you have left over? Well, that's your simple subtraction, right? So borrow, that becomes a 10. 12 minus 5 is 7. 10 minus 9 is 1. And you have $1.07. Now, if by any chance you decide to change the subtraction problem to an addition, so you're changing the subtraction to addition, and you're changing the 9.5 to its opposite, which is negative 9.5. If you want to look at it that way, you can, not necessary, right? Now, second one, maybe you do. It's 2.5, we're changing it to an addition, and then the additive inverse of negative 1.2 is 1.2. So if you want to see it this way, and then it's easier for you to see, be my guess. So 2.5 times plus 1.2 is just 3.7. This one, now notice that the second add-in is a bigger number than this. Okay, so if you want to change it again, keep the first add-in, change the subtraction to addition, and the additive inverse of 14.3 is negative 14.3. So now you're adding these, a positive number and a negative number. The absolute value of the negative number is larger, so you know it's going to be a negative answer, and you got to subtract those two numbers. So we get, and the answer is 1.1. Here, again, negative 2.3. Change the subtraction to addition, and the additive inverse of negative 15.3 is 15.3. Right, so again, it's a positive number and a negative number. Right, so pretend you have $2.30 in debt, and somebody gives you $15.30. Are you still in debt? No. Right, because you paid off your debt, and you have some money left over. How much money you have left over? Well, it's positive something, so 15.3 minus 2.3, which gives you exactly 13. So that's how much you have now. Okay. My ramen is getting cold. All right, so let me just eat a little bit. Evaluate each expression. So again, I want to change it. You can. I put the parentheses there. I can't put parentheses. Nothing stops me from it. It just protects my number. So it's a negative plus a positive. Notice that this has a greater absolute value, so I know it's going to be negative. And then we subtract the 2. So 11 minus 9 is 2, and then this was a 2, 1.2, negative 1.2. These are two negatives, so when they're the same size, it's much easier, right? All we got to do is add them and just make sure you write the corresponding, the appropriate sign. So it's two negatives being added, so the answer is going to be negative. 5.1 plus 7.7 is just 12.8, but negative. Again, two negatives, so my answer is going to be negative, and we're moving further. We're already on the left side of 0, 3.8 units, and then to that we're going to add another 12.1 units further left. So it's 12.1, 3.8, which is 15.9. This one, and again, this one you might want to change. So it's negative 2.3, change the subtraction to addition, and then, again, there's three parts to this, right? The first add-in, which you keep. subtraction, we're going to change to addition. And then 12.3, right? The opposite of the additive inverse of 12.3 is negative 12.3. So we end up having a negative number. You're further left on the number line, negative 14.6. Now, if you didn't change this, think about what you have. You're in debt. You owe $2.37. That's your current balance. And then somebody's going to come and subtract $12.30 from you. So you're in debt, but you had it. I don't know. You had $12.30 hidden under your bed or your sofa or between the book, and they find that and they take that away from you. So they took that. So now you're further in debt, right? You're already down to $2.30. Now somebody found that money that you had hidden, the $12.30. You're even further down now. So how much you're further down? You're negative 1460. Right? They came and they took a positive number from you. That's what that says. Okay. Ooh, fractions. 6. And take another bite. Let me do this without changing it. So if I don't change this, I get negative 5 over 4 plus, well, actually, let me find the common denominator. The common denominator is 12. So this is going to be times 3, negative 15 over 12 is the same thing as negative 5 over 4. Plus, I'm going to change the fraction here. Well, it's going to be 12, so I multiply 3 by 4 to get 12, so I multiply the top. Notice that this becomes an issue here, right? Because, again, when you so you're adding two negatives. So if you add, you're going to get negative 2. So the whole numbers is just 2. There's no whole number here. So let's add the fractions. 15 over 12 plus, again, this is negative 8 over 12. So you get 23 over 12. You have to make an adjustment, right? So this is negative 2. This is written now as 1 and 9 over 12, but negative. So you combine the whole numbers and you get 3, and this can be simplified to 3 over 4. I'm not too sure if you want to do this process. I maybe think that if you change, so keep the first one like that. We're not going to do that. And take a moment to change that to an improper fraction. 3 and 2 is 6. Write it like this. Now you find the common denominator, which is still 12. So it's times 3. So on top is times 3. You get 15. This is times 4. So on top is times 4. So you get negative 32. And 15 and negative 32 is 47. Yes. Negative 47. 5 and 2 is 7. Yeah. Over 12. And you can now change this to an improper fraction. Oh, sorry, a mixed number. So 12 goes to 47 3 times. And it's 11 over 12. Is that what I had before? I hope so. I think this method is a little bit less confusing. Again here, change it to 56. This is negative, so put in parentheses. So it's times 8. This is times 7. 13 times 8 is 24. Carry the 2, 104. 104, we subtract now. This one has the greater absolute value, so my answer is going to be negative. So it's something over 56. 104, we find the difference between 104 and 7, and that's going to be 97. Okay. And you can change it to an improper fraction, or sorry, a mixed number. Okay. Find a difference again. Negative 4. Again, well, if you change it to this, you'll notice that it's two negative numbers being combined. So, you know what? There's a point to changing it, the subtraction problem, to addition. It might be easier to see. So this becomes very easy. Negative 6 and 3 over 7. Likewise here, if you change it, it becomes negative 12 plus 2 and 3/7. Okay, so you know that it's going to be a negative number because 12 obviously has a bigger absolute value, and if you subtract those two, you get 9 and 4/7. What are we doing here? We're combining two negative numbers. So this one is pretty straightforward. It's going to be a negative answer, right? So we're going further left on the number line. We're going to change this. So let's change this to the common denominator, which is 30 times 15. So this is 15 over 30. And this is going to be negative 3. If you change that to 30, it becomes that. And this one is easy enough that I need to change this to an improper fraction. Okay, so it's negative 3 and then 17 over 30. 18, it's a positive and a negative, right? So we're going to find the difference between both of them. Let's find the common denominator. Is it 160 times 5? I think it's 80. 80. So times 8 becomes 88. This becomes 80, so times 5, yeah. So times 5 on top, we get negative 25. This one has the greater absolute value, so it's going to be positive answer, something over 80. 88 minus 25 is 3, 8 minus 2. There you go, 63 over 80, but positive. This one, LCM, least common multiple is 35. Let's change that. This becomes 21, this becomes 55. If you want to change this to an addition problem, 35. 35. So the first add and stays, the subtraction becomes addition, and we do the additive inverse of 55 over 35, which becomes negative 55 over 35. Now you can clearly see what's happening. It's a positive number plus a negative number, right? So we take the absolute value of the greater one, which is 55, 35. So my answer is going to be negative, and then we got to subtract these two. So 55 and 21 is 34. Negative 34. 35. Last problem. Again, let's change it to an addition problem first of all. And you'll see that it becomes that, right? First add and stays, the subtraction becomes addition, and the additive inverse of negative 3 and 115 is positive 3 and 115. So this one actually we don't need to find the LCM. Well, and actually we can just do it as it is. The whole number is 23 is 5. If you combine the fractions, you get 12 over 15, which you can simplify to 5. Divided by 3, divided by 3 is 4. Divided by 3 is 5. All right. Okay, that was it.